Hey Real Life Church, Stuart and Melanie Crane here. We just want to give you a few updates of the things going on in the life of the church. The first thing we want to do is for you to watch the following message by Simon Holly, who leads the Catalyst network of churches which we are a part of, about the COVID-19 Crisis Fund. And when you've listened to the message, I'll tell you how we're going to respond to it.
Hi friends. While we are going through this global crisis, while I've been feeling for those who are suffering in the Western world, my heart's also been going out for those in the developing world who I've really been concerned about the impact of this virus on them. And last week I was reading in Luke 16 and reading the story of the rich man and Lazarus, and lots of different things can come out of that story, but one of the take-homes has got to be this, that those who are materially well off in this life should not forget the poor, that we are called to remember the poor. And as I read that story, it provoked me again to pray for our friends and the stories that were emerging, to cry out to God. And during a coffee break, as I was praying, an email from our good friend Sam Amara in Lagos came to my attention. And let me read you some of it. It's a very difficult situation here in Lagos with the extension of the lockdown for another 14 days. I'm afraid many families will starve to death. Last week, a single mother with 3 kids called for help, saying for some days they've not eaten anything. On Monday, the leader of one of our churches called, crying that his people are starving to death. I'm running out of foodstuff. I'm running out of money to support people. And then another email from our friend Jonathan in Liberia. Dear friends, I'm strongly convinced that the good of COVID-19 will surely come out. However, we need your prayers now in Liberia during this lockdown. There are no national plans in place for the majority very poor and jobless people. More than 70% of the population survive either by daily hiring or trading. Community clinics are closed, which will lead to many people dying from other diseases untreated. There's no safe drinking water supply, no electricity, no medication for treating other diseases. Under these circumstances, we have a state of emergency. Many people might just die, not because of the COVID-19, but because of hunger and lack of medical care. Please pray for us as we go through this global pandemic under these extreme circumstances. These are our friends, these are church leaders that we know and that we trust, and we've had similar calls for help from Pakistan and from Uganda and from Kenya and from others. And as I read these words, I was prompted to go out and pray again and say, God, please help us to help these people. And I felt the Lord speak to me and said, Simon, raise £100,000 in the next 3 weeks. And so I immediately took that word. This was last Wednesday. I immediately took that word to the Catalyst strategy team. And we are of one heart that this is what we should do. We are concerned for the future financially in the West, but we recognize that our friends in the developing world are starting to starve now. And we've got to stand with them, and we've got to give now, and we've got to trust God with all of our futures. And so can I ask you if you'd be willing to give into this fund? It's going to be for emergency food and medical supplies. And I'd urge you to join with us and give into it. We want to bring relief to our friends in churches in some of these countries in the developing world. And we've worked out that in many of these countries, you can feed someone for a month for between 10 to 20 pounds. And so no matter how little you can give, can I encourage you to give towards this fund? We estimate if we can raise 100,000, we can feed somewhere between 4,000 to 8,000 people for a month. And we're really wanting to stand with them in this time. 100% of it is going to be spent on the supplies. There's no staff costs or salary costs or overheads in any way. 100% will be spent on the supplies, and we will get the money to the situations that need it. One thing that we're keen to do is to give to provide the money through local and support local markets and existing infrastructure, so that what we give in the emergency doesn't undermine and destabilize the local economy. So can I urge you to pray and to stand with us in this season, to give what you can towards this emergency fund, and we're going to trust God to do miracles and to save lives and to put our future into his hands together as a wider family. Thanks so much for listening, and there'll be details along with this video that you can give. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you for listening to that message. Let me explain how we're going to respond to that. The first thing is that the elders, the leaders and directors have got together and we've prayerfully considered our response, and we have decided to give £5,000 from church funds towards the appeal. This is money that you have given to us, so thank you so much for your generosity and your faithfulness and your obedience. And we have now passed that on to the Catalyst Network for them to distribute for food and medical supplies for some of our brothers and sisters around the world. A great big thank you for us. Because you've been faithful in your generosity to us, we can respond very quickly to situations like this. The second thing I want to ask you is to consider giving yourself. If I know some of you, even though we've given as a church, will feel that desire to give of yourself, there's information on the Catalyst Network website. We'll put a link on the description below. You can go on and you can give as individuals, as families, to this fund for yourself if you feel so inclined to do so. So thank you so much for your generosity, and thank you that we can respond accordingly to what's happening around the world with our other churches.
And then I just wanted to share a few thoughts that we've had about how we can stay connected and celebrate together and enjoy one another. So we didn't want to cancel everything that we had in our diaries. We didn't want to delete everything that we had in our diaries. So we've just come up with a few things that we think we can still do together. So this Friday is VE Day, which is the celebration of victory in Europe, and it's the 75th year, and so there were plans for there to be great celebrations all around this nation. But I still think there are ways that we can celebrate together. So there will be a minute's silence that we can observe together around in our homes, in our neighbourhoods. And we also just thought it'd be fun at some point in the day to have a cup of tea and a bit of cake, and do that either out on your front porch with neighbours, do it in your homes, do it on Zoom in your life groups, and snap some photos for us. Decorate your house up. We're going to make red, white and blue paper chains and bunting and lanterns. We're just going to put them up around the house. And just celebrate together. And if you want to snap some photos that we can share on social media, that would be amazing. So yeah, do what you can to celebrate that. And then we were due to have our woodland hunt, which gathers hundreds of people in Sutton Park, and I just didn't want to cancel it. So we are going to move it. We're going to move it to Sunday the 17th of May, and we're going to put out an Eventbrite invite, and we're going to encourage people to do the woodland hunt at home. So either hide things around the house to find and eat, hide things in the garden, or use your exercise time to nip out into a woodland area and hide some stuff and find it. I would suggest getting to the shops now, because they have loads of the little mini eggs still in foil wrappers, half price, or even better than that some places. So go and get some eggs of some description, or just some wrapped sweets like Starburst or something like that you can hide. We're going to make hedgehogs this year, so you need either some air dry clay, some Play-Doh, some white tack. You can make some salt dough, but you need basically a blob of some description that you can stick sticks into. And we're just going to encourage you to go in the garden and find little twigs, go out to a park, find little twigs and make yourself a hedgehog. There will be instructions on Eventbrite on how to do all of this. And then lastly, we still want to go camping with you. Crazy, I know. So we thought it'd be fun the weekend of the Catalyst Festival, so on the Saturday, to sleep somewhere that you don't normally sleep. So it might be that you all camp down in the lounge, or in your study or your office, or under your dining room table, or pitch a tent and get out in your garden and camp for the night. We want to gather you all together and do some kind of, maybe a Zoom round a campfire or something. Matt and Phil are on this, so they will be in touch with details of how we're going to get together on that weekend and do the Catalyst Festival at home. We're excited because we do just want to be with you guys. So that's VE celebrations, that's the woodland hunt, and that's the Catalyst Festival, all at home. So Stuart, I think there's only one thing left for us to say.
Yeah.
That is,
wash your hands and stay close to Jesus.